Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to Roma Theory. Some very interesting stories today that came out this morning about Rodrigo Riquelme. There's a lot of truth to this. Why do I say this? I say this because this is not a new name. We've already been linked with him last week. And this is kind of the next step, chapter 2. Di Marzio, who's very reliable, launched this rumor last week. Well, today it's being seconded by Il Corriere dello Sport, very, very important source in Italy in terms of sport newspapers, and also by Relevo. Matteo Moretto, the guy who works with Fabrizio Romano, says that Roma have intensified contacts with Atletico Madrid for a potential signing over Rodrigo Riquelme. They offered 20 million already, and that Riquelme not only said yes to the project, but DDR really wants him and has really identified in him, I want him if Chiesa doesn't happen. And this kind of balance, Riquelme, Chiesa can both happen. Does this mean that Chiesa won't happen? We're all going to get through today. So let me know in the comments what you think about this deal. Do you like it? Do you not? Don't forget to hit the like. If everybody can do it, it would be great. Please do it. It takes 2 seconds and it would be incredible. Right, also Italy-Spain tonight. I'll maybe film a little video about the game later on today. I'll see, but yeah, very excited for that. And this little video about Riquelme has definitely got some Spain into it. I want to start off by reading this article, which has been released by Relevo, which is a sport media center newspaper in Spain, and Matteo Moretto, who's the guy who works with Fabrizio Romano. They sometimes kind of announce the news together. Has basically said Atletico Madrid's left winger is very popular amongst Roma and would be an excellent addition to the attacking department. He can also play as a midfielder. They are not just rumours. The Giallorossi are very serious about him and have put a figure of around 20 million on the table. However, this was rejected by Atletico Madrid, who were asking for a figure close to 30 million for the Spaniard, as reported by Relevo. Roma don't want to let him slip away, and their hope is to close this deal for a figure close to 25 million. This is very interesting because it means that Roma's really into him. If this source is reliable, and it looks like to me it is, Roma wants to end this deal. Roma's very determined to get this done before anybody else comes in, gets him from you, or Atletico Madrid build a wall and don't let you sign him. Roma offered 20 million, which, yes, okay, it might not be a lot of money. It isn't a lot of money. Nowadays in football, 20 million for a deal is absolutely nothing. Atletico Madrid want around 30 million. Again, look, I'm a bit perplexed by the amount of money that teams are asking. Not that they cannot be asking these amounts of money, right? But another example, Juventus, right? Juventus, the Weston McKennie, Douglas Luiz deal kind of had been collapsed, and then Juventus decided to put, is considering to put Barrenechea, a player very young who was their next gen under 23 and then went 1 year on loan to Frosinone this year and literally only scored 1 goal. And they valued him at around 25 million. I think that's unfair. I think that is unfair for a team like us, who've got less financial power and are in desperate need of signing players, but are constantly being bullied in this world of football where everybody massively over-exaggerates values and transfer values. Now, I understand that he's young. I understand that Atletico Madrid consider him an important piece of their future, and that letting him go would mean getting quite a lot of money. He's young, he's got a lot of talent, and I've seen him play, so I can confirm this. And then, you know, he's in the Raiders of the Spanish national team. So it's understandable that Atletico Madrid are going to ask quite a bit of money, but 30 million for somebody who earns 800k a year, which isn't a lot for a professional football player. And yes, it's coming from a transition period, a transition season where he had a few great games but didn't play much. All of a sudden you ask 30 million. I think that's corrupt. I think that's unfair. 30 million for him, I would be tempted to do it, but I need to reflect on it because 30 million is a lot of money for a team like Roma. Also, that striker, Omar Dion, same at Atletico Madrid, asking 80 million. You cannot be asking 80 million for somebody who scored, 8 goals for Alaves in one season. That is the that's how these teams and this diverging of football is happening, because how on earth can they possibly set these price tags up so high? 30 million is a lot of money. If we offer 20 and they offer 30, I do think that the deal can be ended at around 25 to 28. There's going to be a process of negotiation. So if Roma's really onto him and De Rossi has really asked for him, then I really see this deal happening. And as Matteo Moretto says on the Relevo Sport Journal, the two sides could come close together and this deal could eventually happen in the next couple of days. Contacts have intensified in these last couple of hours, which is the most important thing. Now, what player is he? You're probably asking. So, I think he can be considered one of the key players we need in the team, because he's fast, he's got a great touch, and adding on to that, he's young and he's also very versatile, because he can play on a 3 attack. So he can play as a left winger in an attack of 3. And he can also play in a midfielder of 5. So he's very versatile, which is why I think when I look at this deal, don't judge a book by its cover. That's the phrase I would use to describe this deal, because a lot of people might go, oh, actually, you know what? We should not be spending 30 million for somebody who didn't score many goals this season. Well, I think before judging a book, you gotta read it, because you need to understand that not only he didn't have many chances because he's still very young, and Simeone plays harem ball, so for Simeone, growing young players is a very complicated process to acknowledge. You know, similar to a lot of other managers, Simeone is one of those managers who a young player wouldn't want to spend his start of his career with, because he's not going to give you many chances. He has his fixed players, and then yes, once in a while he might put in a young player. But Simeone isn't about beauty of football, growing new talents, developing new players, and intensifying this glorious football. He's about grinding results. He's improved at this, but he's very similar to Mourinho or Allegri in terms of manager philosophy. And then the other thing is that whenever he used Riquelme, he used him as a 5th midfielder. And I think that's massively different from what De Rossi wants to do. Because for somebody who's a left winger, to play in a 3 attack and a 5 midfield is completely different. So a lot of what he did as a very wide midfield of 5, which in my opinion is not what De Rossi wants, and it's not what Riquelme also wants. It's not where he gets the best out of his plays. So I like this deal. I have to be very honest, I like this deal, and I disagree with people who go, oh, I don't want him, because the human being has got this tendency of not appreciating what doesn't feel attractive to them. And this is exactly why a young project in Rome, at Roma, I'd be very surprised if it works out. I really want a young profile project to work out, but I've got a lot of questions of doubt around it, because it's impossible with a fan base like the Roma's fan base to grow and develop and buy young players. Because all I've been reading on Twitter, Instagram, apart from a few people, is I don't want him because I want Chiesa. Well, you need to understand that Chiesa isn't easy, and this, maybe what they're trying to tell us here is, I'm gonna go for Riquelme because Chiesa won't happen. And there's a high chance of doing this, but we need to acknowledge it. We need to put this in our head and in our mind. We can't just, oh, I don't want him because I want the ultimate of players. Because if we do that, then stop reading newspapers, because it's going to work out with your mind. And it's where he then comes in, but then the Roma fan base wants Chiesa, and so they feel disappointed. And then they have this tendency of urgency of attacking the player because Chiesa didn't happen. It's all little psychological conflicts, I'd call them, that I really, really, really question if a young project is going to work at this team. because this is how our fan base works. This deal will, I give it a 90% chance. If it happens, it means Chiesa doesn't happen. And I'm a bit disappointed because I really wanted Chiesa. But Chiesa's played a really good game against Albania. We're going to see him tonight against Spain. If he plays a massive game tonight against Spain, forget about him. Bayern Munich have entered the race. Liverpool want him. Napoli with Conte want him. And some latest rumours have also said that Juventus at the end of the Euros are considering maybe to extend his contract. So we're not Real Madrid, we're Roma, and we need to understand this. So I think this deal isn't bad. I like this deal because I think he's a very talented player. He's very young, and I think he fits our style perfectly. Again, if somebody asks me, would I rather him or Chiesa? Of course I'd go Chiesa. But I wouldn't completely burn this book just because I would completely go insane if in the library, in my local library, the book that I want isn't there. It's kind of the analogy I'd give. You know, a library is a place where if you don't want, you really want a book, and you go to the library and that book isn't there, and you're pissed, you're disappointed. But then you're like, okay, you really wanted that book, but literature, writing, you know, library is a place where you can definitely find something for you, even if the best of books that you wanted isn't there. And this is the same scenario. I really want Chiesa. I do as well. But if Chiesa doesn't come, then I'm not going to go insane and completely attack every other player that gets linked with me instead of Chiesa. I'm going to try and be understanding and go, well, I understand that Chiesa's hard. Let me see what we can get. And I think RIQUELME could be a very good option if Chiesa doesn't happen. That's the way I see it. But yeah, let me know what you think about this. Is anybody here a big fan of the Spanish league? I watched a few games of Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. I don't really watch La Liga unless Real Madrid Barcelona is on. So I haven't followed many league games and I haven't really watched RIQUELME play. I've watched some Champions League games. He won man of the match at the De Kuip at Feyenoord away in the group stage. So yeah, if anybody knows more about him, Atletico Madrid, the way he plays, Simeone and all of that, do leave a comment down below. Italy, Spain tonight. I'm going to try and film a video, but I'm not going to promise anything. I'm going to try. I've got driving lesson in like 1 hour. And then if I make it back on time, I'll maybe film a little video speaking about the game, a little preview of the game. Don't forget to hit the like, please do. It takes 2 seconds. Please do it if you are interested in this deal or if you just like the channel and want to be a big part of this community. Please hit the like. Also subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll talk to you very, very soon. Simo out. Take care.